Hello and welcome to Conquering Mount Scrapmore with Brenda. I'm Brenda, and it kind of looks like we're getting ready for another Orphan Block Challenge episode, but that episode has been preempted because of a quilt show. And I have to create a hanging sleeve, and I thought, what a good opportunity for me to show you how I'm going to do my hanging sleeve and take this big, beautiful queen-size quilt that I made as part of our sunflower quilt along, the sunflower quilt along, this great big one here, and show you how to make a hanging sleeve for it. I was asked to enter it into our local quilt show, but I was like, and I looked at all the things I had to have, and it was like a hanging sleeve. I haven't done a hanging sleeve in like forever, so that's okay. Now, the YouTuber is Lori Boski, and she owns Lori's Country Cottage here in Edmonton. Now, she also has a website where you can order off of. So I'm going to put all her YouTube channel and the website channel into the show notes below, as well as the instructions on how to do a hanging sleeve. So we also have in those show notes below is our Facebook group where we're making use of the virtual rooms and having a virtual sew date, you know, whenever people are available to come. So when the members are actually sewing with each other, it's a fun group to be in. And we're sharing pictures and we're commenting and we're asking questions, and you know, if I don't know the answer, other people within the group are answering. So it's a really unique and fun group to be part of. Very welcoming. Now, the other thing is in that show notes below is going to be our Zoom sew dates, where we sew once a month. Usually it's the first Saturday of the month, but the dates are all listed from now until the end of December. So we're hoping that if you get the chance to come join us on Zoom, that you do, because it's so much fun to gather and, you know, find out what is inspiring everybody else. And we just don't have ladies from Canada and the US. We have them from all over. So that's a lot of fun. And there's really not a big language barrier. You know, when people do the show and tell, everybody, you know, holds up something what they're working on. So it's a lot of fun. So share, like, and subscribe if you like what you're seeing. When you go to Lori's page and you like what you see there, tell her Conquering Mount Scrapmore sent you. So let's get into this, making a hanging sleeve. Now, what I have done is I have found fabric, but it's not quite long enough. So what I'm going to do first off, I have cut 8 inches off this fat piece of fabric. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick half-inch seam. Quick half-inch seam with the wrong sides together, which sounds weird, but it'll work. Trust me on that. Quick half-inch seam. Okay, let me just get this through. Another little leader ender, like we have hundreds of these, but hey, we need more. And yeah, I didn't realize how close that deadline was, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I need a hanging sleeve. Oh, hey, that would make great content. So what we're going to do is now we're going to, because this is a batik, I'm just going to take one of those pieces and fold it up. Just up like this. Just, you know, gently out of the way. And I'm going to trim it to 1/8. And with the world's smallest scissors, yes, I know. Because basically I'm going to make a flat felt seam, and it will look finished from both sides, right? So there is my little thing off, and now I'm just going to open this up to where this is. I'm going to finger press this over like that. All right? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn this under so that it meets up to the sew line. Oops, just up to the sew line. I should probably get an iron and do this properly, but I'm in a hurry. Yeah, the deadline for this drop off and everything is one of those things you're like, oh gosh. So the only way I can make this long enough is sew 2 pieces together like this, right? So now I'm just... So a flat felt seam is perfect because it's a finished seam and it won't stay up there, so I'm getting a little annoyed. And you just want to top stitch now along the very edge of that. And Here we go. And we're just going to quickly top stitch that. Okay. Get this off. We don't need any more of that. And make sure that that's all sitting nice. It is. And it doesn't drag because there's a great big long piece. Yeah, it's short, like 18 inches, maybe 12 inches, something like that. And it's like, ah, oh, really? Okay. Alrighty. So now, there's our flat felt seam. And it doesn't look like anything from the other side, right? So we'll just run through another leader ender to get this off. I'll be so glad when this pink rose fabric is gone. Right. It was beautiful fabric, and I've used it and used it and used it, and now I'm like, okay, that's enough of the using. It's got to get gone. Okay, so here we are. Now we're going to go to the cutting table and we're going to measure our quilt to see how much of this we truly need. Okay, so what I did is my quilt is 84 inches. So I took a piece of fabric 8 inches by 85 and I pressed it, and we've got it all sewn together now with a flat felt seam. So what I did with the ends is I want to make it finished on the end of the sleeve, right? So what I did is I folded over a generous 1/2 inch and then another 1/2 inch. And now I'm just going to top stitch them down in place so it stays at that perfect little 1/2 inch. And then go back and forward. Okay. Okay. Now this is everybody's like, oh my god. I think everybody, this has creeped up, this calendar date has creeped up on me, and I'm just, oh no. It's one of those moments where you're like, what, how did that happen? It came here so quickly. So there we go. Now, okay, I'm gonna get this in. There. Here we go. Now, what we're going to do, okay, so we've got this now, and we're going to just get another leader ender off of here. And I'll show you what we've got. Now what we're going to do is we are going to have to go to the ironing board, and I'll show you how we're going to do this. And because this is really kind of fast way to do a hanging sleeve, and it'll look great. Okay. Okay. So here is the full length of our tube or hanging sleeve, what we're going to make. And everybody does this a little bit different, I think, yeah. So what I want to do is I do it in half, and I'm just going to press this out with a really hot iron. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark my quilt on the half, because I want this line to line up with the quilt line on my quilt. Now I could also do a quarter, right? But because I'm not sure where these are going to end up, I'm just going to do the half for now, okay? So I'm just going to cool that off, make sure it cools off good, and I get a nice clean press. And then I'm going to do my quilt. Ugh. And I might have to do, it's like so big. This thing is like so big. Now, oh, okay, I have to see which side is longer, whether it's this one. Okay, it's this way. So when I put this in, okay, I'm going to mark it with a pin, because obviously now at this point in the game, I'm not going to be able to mark this easily, right? So I'm just going to mark this with a pin, and I'm going to put a pin in right at the middle, right about 1/2 inch down from where I need it to be. And you can see all the piece back I did. So about 1/2 inch down from where I need it to be, and that's going to be my middle. Right, so I want to match up my two middles when I put this on. Okay, let's get back to the sewing machine. Okay, so I'm going to make a good 1/2 inch seam now, and I have got the wrong sides together, right? The wrong sides are together, because when I'm putting this on my quilt, this seam is going to be up against the back of the quilt, right? So we want our wrong sides together. We don't want anything getting hooked up on the rod that they're going to run through this little hanging sleeve. So I'm just going to start this back and forth just a little bit, and you could have pinned this, I suppose. So basically we're doing a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and I've got my my foot pretty much lined up to where it needs to be. Okay, and you can just simply run this real quick. And I know it's a long, boring seam, but it's worth it. And you just have to keep going on down, all the way down. And, you know, you can press it and make it pretty later, but this is kind of where you're at. There we go. We're not even at the halfway mark yet. So I'll meet you back at the ironing table once I get this, because we're going to have to iron it so that it forms a D on the side of the tube. Okay, so what I've done is I've lined up my middles together first. Now that's the first thing we're going to do. And I'm going to take a few of these out because we're going to need them. And we want to pin without going through to the center. So I've lined up both pins. The pin for the center of the quilt and the center of the sleeve. And we just want to catch, not the front. We don't want to catch the front at all. And we just want to make that little divot there. And because we've ironed a pucker, like this edge is up. Now this is where the back part of the seam is. Now I want to have this for a grandchild at some point, so what I want to do is I just want to quickly go through and pin it in place at the bottom. Now you would want to check your work as you go, but this is like 1/2 inch down from the edge, right? So that's where you're pinning, and you would put lots of pins in. The bigger your quilt, the bigger your pinning job. So I'm going to continue pinning this along and hopefully not get any. I'll decide whether or not I want to hand stitch any of this. Probably not. But I want to make sure that I don't see any pin silver marks from the front. So that's basically what I'm doing, is I'm pinning to the back and I'm trying to go through the batting, but not the front. So this is how I would go, and I might want to put in, you know, put them in every hand width away until you get to the edge. And then where you want to end up is about 1/2 inch from the end, like this. That's where you want to end up. And it looks like it's going to fit really good. So I'm just going to keep on pinning, and we'll see you at the end. Okay, this is the hanging sleeve, and this is, you know, it's going to go on that big sunflower quilt that we made. So we're going to test it now, see if it works or whether it needs more pins or whether I have to hand baste this quilt in place. So let's start. We've got a dowel that's kind of the same width, and we'll just start feeding it in to this little to this thing. We'll see how well it works. The dowel at the quilt show will be round. This is a rectangular shaped dowel. Okay, so I put this on just like so. It's going along. Probably needs more pins, but that's okay. We'll give it a shot. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so now let's get this up on the hooks. Okay, so we put the doweling that we had, and we put hooks and whatnot, so it's now suspended. It is a little ripply, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go put pins in between my pins on both top and the bottom. And it should smooth that all out right away. But this worked. See, I want to give this quilt to a grandson that is, and I'm hoping that he uses, not places it as a wall hanging. So I don't want to do a permanent hanging sleeve. I want to do a detachable hanging sleeve. And this worked out really well. I was quite surprised how to do this. So if you like this, please share, like, comment, and all the rest of the stuff. Share with your friends. And like I say, you know, the Zoom sew dates are once a month, and the Facebook group is a lot of fun. So come on in and join us. So until we meet again, I hope you have an absolutely fabulous week ahead. Okay, you take care. Bye. My husband and I would love to thank you for all of the amazing people that we have met along this crazy YouTube adventure that we've been having. We do free speaking engagements too, so if you're part of a guild and they're looking for, you know, people to talk and, you know, and chat with, you know, in their monthly meetings, tell them that I'm doing free ones just to help the guilds out, because it's been a tough time for the guilds as well. You know, share, like, and subscribe with your friends. You know, make sure that they're, you know, they get the word out on us. That's the best way you can do to help us out. So until we meet again, I want to thank you. Okay, goodbye.